All right, take 21. Take 21. We've got a serious case of the giggles, and we can't get past it for messing up.
Okay.
Okay,
We're
you
gonna
gotta
focus. Okay,
All right.
we're gonna do it.
All right, take 21. Hey guys, Jeff and Lori from Indigo Silver Studio and the Shoot Space located in Wilmington, North Carolina. We're going to just keep rolling with this one. Big thanks to Melanie Anderson, 17 Hats, and the entire crew behind the scenes at the Focus Tour for making all the online summits such a success. Welcome to the Wedding Summit.
All right, so today Jeff and I are going to talk to you a little bit about how we've learned to attain higher than normal averages in a wedding market where photographers are not placing their pricing where they need to be in order to be profitable. So we're going to tell you a little bit about how we've learned to overcome that. First, let's tell you a little bit about who we are. Transition.
All right.
All right. So that's us. Jeff and I, first and foremost, we are photographers, but we are also educators. So we do things like the Focus Summit and go to different conventions and things like that, share our knowledge and pay it forward. We're also newlyweds. So we just got married in September. Yesterday was our 6-month anniversary.
6-month anniversary yesterday.
Whoop, whoop. All right. Moving on. All
right. So, like Lori said, we own and operate Indigo Silver Studio as well as the Shoot Space. Indigo Silver Studio is our wedding and portrait business. You can find us online at Facebook and Twitter at Indigo Silver. And then we also have 2 Instagrams, one for weddings and boudoir and the other for fashion editorial. And those are Indigo Silver and Indigo Silver 1.
Okay. So as Jeff mentioned, we founded the Shoot Space in order to pay it forward to our fellow photographers. So the Shoot Space locally is a resource for photographers to be able to rent studios and meeting space, but online and through things like the Focus Tour, it's also our avenue to be able to help educate our fellow photographers, help share some of the knowledge that we've learned along the way, maybe help a few people avoid some of the mistakes and the things that we've learned the hard way. So join the conversation with us at theshootspace.com. You can also follow us on just about all the social medias at The Shoot Space.
All right. So big shout out to some of our sponsors here and vendors that make us look good. We absolutely love our lab millers. So if you don't have a lab, definitely check Millers out. Amazing products, amazing customer service, and best part of all that I love is free overnight shipping. Man, you can't really miss a deadline with a client when you have free overnight shipping. So definitely check out Millers. Also take a look at Fundy Designer. We're going to be talking a little bit more about Fundy Designer as we go through our presentation today. Since this is the Wedding Summit, we're able to design our wedding albums in record time with Fundy Designer. Also check out Sweetlight if you're a studio photographer and you need a lighting system for your studio that is able to be transformed from a constant light all the way over to a strobe light. Sweetlight's your system. Pretty simple to operate, easy to use, and very versatile. Definitely check out CloudSpot if you're looking for ways to send files to your clients and have a resource for online hosting. CloudSpot makes it seamless. No more Dropbox. No more Dropbox. Love that part. And a big shout out to Evolve Edits. If you are in the market for outsourcing some of your edits, we absolutely love Evolve. They make us look amazing to our clients. We have kept a 2-week turnaround for our wedding clients over the last 2 years because we outsource to Evolve. Best part about them, $199 flat rate processing every month for any amount of jobs you can send them, up to 800 images per job. Yes, you heard that right. As many jobs as you can send them each month, up to 800 images per job for only $199. So definitely check them out. And if you register with them, mention Jeff and Lori in your in how you heard about us code, you'll get a month free. Also check out Sticky Folios. Great pull through, great ways to increase some of your package sales and increase your bottom line by using Sticky Folios to create mobile apps, landing pages for your clients. So definitely check out Sticky Folios. Okay. All right, moving on. Okay, so one thing that Lori and I have noticed over the past several years is that as photographers, we're artists. We focus on the art of what we do by learning all the lighting, the posing, and all the technical things that we need to know to be able to create beautiful art. But the problem is we really ignore the business. You know, we think just because we book a wedding that we've got that wedding on the books and it's done, but we really don't think about how we can work with our wedding clients to be able to make more money out of the wedding clients that we already have booked. And so for that reason, a lot of our businesses fail. So we're going to show you how in our studio we're able to work with our clients throughout multiple touch points in order to be able to generate more income from the clients that we already have.
So I want to walk you through something that may sound a little bit familiar. We hear a lot of photographers complaining about how the average wedding photographer in their market is really priced too low, and they feel like they're competing with these shoot and burn photographers, these photographers that really aren't profitable and that are artificially holding the market down. So if you're one of those photographers and you set your prices where you need to be in order to be profitable, then you send a client your price list and you hear nothing back, because the client automatically hears, whoop, too high, not going with them. On the other hand, though, if you go along to get along and set your prices where the market dictates, you're going to struggle to be profitable. So a lot of us end up in this endless cycle of trying to figure out how we can set our pricing for profits, and a lot of times we ultimately feel defeated. What we're going to focus on today is teaching you how to be the experts to help your clients see the value of what you do. And once your clients can actually value what you're offering them, then they're often willing to spend a little bit more.
So how do you function in a commodity market? A market where the cost of the service of photographing a wedding and delivering digital files has almost become a commodity, and everybody that's reaching out to you is shopping for prices. So hopefully we'll be able to give you some information today to help you kind of navigate these waters and work with those clients that are both bargain shopping, but maybe simply just don't know what they're supposed to be spending on photography. So they have that price in mind, and now they really don't know really how to move forward in booking a photographer outside of that price range that they've been told they should stick at.
So something to think about is the idea of a commodity. A commodity is generally something where the public has an expectation of what they're going to pay. For example, a gallon of gas. You probably know what the going rate is for a gallon of gas in your area, and you're not going to go to a gas station that's charging $2 more than everybody else per gallon. That's a commodity. On the other hand, there are certain things where there's not really a set price, or people don't really have an expectation of what that price is. And that's where you can manage to become a little bit more profitable, is by combining things that are a commodity with things that are not.
Okay. All right. So a few things of what we're going to go over today. We're going to talk about how to create a sales system that enables you to profit more from the clients that you already have. We're going to talk a little bit about price list strategies and how you can build your price list to work for you. We're also going to talk about immersive sales and how you present yourself to your client can also dictate on how much your client spends with you. We're going to talk about multiple touch points and how creating more interactions with your clients can also determine how much your client is going to spend with you. And then also we're going to talk about album workflow and how to make albums profitable for your studio. Because for Lori and I, that is a big chunk of how we're able to reach the averages that we're at. We're going to show you how we do it.
All right, so first let's talk about how we build a sales system. So a sales system is something that you create in order to present your pricing and your products to your clients in a way that helps you reach your target session average. So hopefully everybody has an ideal number in mind of what they'd like to be making per wedding. Then you create a sales system to help you get there. That doesn't necessarily mean that your base package is at that price level, but it's somewhere to where you ultimately, by the time you're finished selling, you've been able to get to that average. So when we talk about systems, you want to have something that you can replicate over and over again, something that you do the same way every time that helps lead to success.
And if you've been following the Focus online summits, you'll notice that we talked about how to, in earlier episodes that we've been a part of, you'll notice that we've talked about how to calculate your average sale. And then in the next one, we really went into depth about how to create a sales system that works for you. And in this one, we're going to apply that mainly to weddings. And so think about a sales system. If you've ever shopped at Bath & Body Works, they have a great sales system because you go in to purchase a single bottle of lotion that costs $8. And from there, you look next to it and there's a sign that says, buy two, get one free. Okay? And now you're thinking, okay, well, if I buy two, I get one free. That's $16. Okay, I'll do that. But then you turn around and there's another sign that says, spend $20 or more and you get this special free gift. But you start looking around and there's nothing in there that's $4 because you're thinking it's only $4 more at this point. But you look around and there's nothing in the store for $4. So you end up getting another $8 or $10 item. And then when you get to the register, there's even another option that says spend $35 or more and you can purchase this extra bag at $15. And now you're so close to that $35 mark that you're like, why not? I'll get that. And so their entire system is built on reaching a $35 to $40 average. Now, when you walk out, do you feel oversold too? No. You walk out going, wow, look at how much I got for free and look at how much I saved. You don't walk out thinking, man, they really got me. I went in to spend $8 and I walked out with $35. You walk out feeling happy. So why aren't we building those kind of systems within our business to be able to reach the target averages that we want? And that's what we're going to talk to you a little bit about today and how we do that for weddings.
All right, so first we want to talk to you a little bit about having priceless strategies. What Jeff just described is only one type of strategy to help lead your clients to that target average. But there's different ways that you can go about it. So one type of priceless strategy is deciding whether or not you want to sell a la carte or whether or not you want to sell with packages. With a la carte, you have easy customizability, that's a word. You can customize the packages. Nope. That's not English. Let's try that again. Okay, when you are selling a la carte, you can customize the individual products that you're choosing to be able to get whatever you want. Sometimes with packages, it's easy to choose up front, I'll have the number 3, but you don't always get to customize what you want in it. So there's pros and cons to both there. Additionally, when you sell a la carte, you could conceivably have a scenario where someone comes in and buys one of the least expensive thing you offer. For example, in a portrait session, you can have someone come in and buy just one 8x10. So there's a little bit of a drawback there. On the flip side though, with packages, whatever your most expensive package is, that tends to be a cap or a ceiling on how much they spend. Whereas with a la carte, they can continue to purchase and continue to purchase and continue to purchase, and they may even go well past whatever your top package is. So there's pros and cons to both. What Jeff and I use is actually kind of a combination of a la carte and packages. So we try and make it easy where we can, but we also allow customizability where we think that that's important to our clients. And that way they can mix and match and combine things to get to that higher average. We're going to walk you through a little bit more of that later.
Okay, the next priceless strategy is called the good, better, best situation. Now, you can use this either within your packages, so you have a good, better, best package, or it could be product dependent. So for example, within our studio, we have our standard print, we have our canvas print, and then we have our metal print. So we have the good, better, best. We also have a small, medium, and large wedding album. So people can choose good, better, or best. And so by building these types of good, better, best, it gives your client a lot of options to be able to choose, and you're not alienating someone that's on the bottom end of your price list, but you're also not missing out from those people that may shop from the top end of your price list as well.
Okay. Now on top of that, you want to have something called I am killing it today. You want to have something that is the idea of a Whopper. So what a Whopper is something that's so large, so over the top, so extravagant that most of your clients will not buy it. And if they do buy it, then you go do the happy dance and you go out for drinks afterward. But the idea of a Whopper, let's say we're creating a wedding package. A Whopper wedding package might have unlimited wedding coverage with 2 photographers, includes bridal, engagement, rehearsal, dinner coverage, includes a wedding album, it includes wall portraits, and hey, maybe you even spring for a limo to come and pick them up along the way. So it's something that is just really, really large and extreme, and most clients are not going to want that. What happens though is when that is your top package, now the package that's right underneath that becomes a little bit more attainable and a little bit more realistic. Whereas before, if you didn't have the Whopper, your top package seems to be the extreme. So anytime you can put something at the high-end extreme, it's going to change where the middle of your packages lie and help pull people up towards the upper end or the upper middle of your packages. In general, people tend to shop towards the middle. People try and avoid the bottom end of the packages where they feel like, it's probably not the best quality, probably not quite enough. Most people know that lowest package, it's kind of the economy model, so they stay away from that. They also know, and if you've done your Whopper concept well, that top end package is probably more that they need, so they'll stick to the middle packages. And that's the idea with your Whopper.
Okay. So once you have your packages and your price list built, we need to be working in some ways that allow for upsells, but with little effort, because we don't want to oversell our clients. We want to be able to present them with opportunity to be able to save money or get free product without having to be that pushy salesman. And that's why the Bath and Body Works scenario works so well, is because they're not pushy when you go in. They simply present their offer to you, and you either take it or you don't. But they make it
attractive.
So attractive that you can't not take it. So some upsell strategies that are possible within the wedding market. $250 album credit. A product credit, whether it's an album credit or credit toward an engagement session or any type of product credit that you can give it to them, but make sure that once you price that out, that it doesn't hurt your cost of sale or your bottom line with that product credit. Lori and I do an album credit and an engagement session credit that we're going to talk about later, but the product credit is one way to be able to allow your client to upsell without being pushy.
All right, so another idea that you can use is something called package pull-through. If you are creating packages rather than a la carte, most people, when they first make their packages, they make their packages just a matter of scale. So the bottom package has a little bit, the medium package has some, and the big package has a lot. So it's just a matter of more and bigger. Really what you want to be doing, though, is keeping your most desirable or your most in-demand items and putting those in the larger packages. So for example, everybody in this day and age wants digital files. At least in our market, that's very true. So if you were going to create packages, then your bottom package is not that your bottom package would have a little bit of files and then the next package would have a little bit more and then the next package would have all of them. Instead, you want to keep those files out of your bottom packages altogether and only put them in your middle packages and higher to help your clients move up into those packages. They're going to see that the item they want is not in those lower packages and avoid them. So again, your packages aren't just a matter of scale, it's about putting something, it's dangling a carrot to get them into those larger packages.
Also consider gift with purchases. A gift with purchase can be anything. It can be additional prints, it can be the ability to buy something at a discounted price. It could be something like a mobile app. Any kind of gift with purchase that you can give to entice them to go to that next level is also going to help make them make that decision to go to the next level as well.
The idea with your gift with purchase, however, it should be something that has very little cost of sale to you. So something that's inexpensive and easy for you to make, but that has a high value to your client. So Jeff mentioned a minute ago mobile apps. We use sticky folios for our mobile apps, and that's something that basically just creates a mobile gallery that the client can download and save to their phone or iPad. It's not something they won't be able to print the images from. However, having those images handy is really valuable to our client. It costs us nothing other than our sticky folio subscription to be able to make those for our clients. So that's something that we can include as a gift with purchase. So for example, if you purchase a wedding album, you get this mobile app for free. That's something that might help push them into that purchase if they're already on the fence.
And that mobile app, when we say you receive it for free, it has to have a retail value. So we have a retail value on that mobile app of like $275 because they don't know how long it takes us to make it. We know it takes us 10 minutes to make one on the back end, but they don't know how long it takes us to make that. So we can put a high retail value on that, and we really have a very low cost of sale with it. So when we give that gift with purchase, it really doesn't cost us anything. Another thing that we can do are quantity discounts. So, for
Now,
example,
if you've been following along on our previous focus presentations, we talk a lot about business and pricing. And one thing that we talked about is the idea that the first item you sell to your client is the most expensive thing that you will sell, because there's so much work that goes into just getting the images ready for sale. After that, every product that you sell gets less and less expensive for you to sell and becomes more and more profitable. So it becomes a good idea for you to be able to sell quantity to your clients as well as quality. So for example, with a wedding album, the most cost and work goes actually into designing the album. It's not really in the printing of the album itself. So once we've designed an album the first time, why not sell additional copies of the albums to the parents or to the maid of honor and the best man? So we can sell additional copies of that album without doing any additional design work. That's extra profit in our pocket. Other ways that you can encourage quantity discounts is selling wall portrait groupings instead of single wall portraits, or selling gift print packages instead of single 8x10s. You can do a buy 3 get 1, and so on and so forth. You get the idea here. But find ways to sell more than one item to your client.
Now, all of this will equal higher sales to you. Lori and I, we just started offering the $250 album credit for 2016, and we actually sold more wedding albums in 2016 than we have in the last 3 years of our business. So people will spend $1,500 or more just to save $250. Another piece of advice I can give is if you're doing product credit, create a gift card. Don't just tell them they have that credit. Create a plastic gift card. And I believe the website we order them from, Lori, is
schoolphotomarketing.com.
schoolphotomarketing.com. So check out that website. They're actually ID cards. They have like a $10 minimum, so you can order a very few quantity. But that seems to really drive home that value, because once they have that plastic card in their wallet, it actually becomes real and it becomes money to them.
All right, so now that we've gotten an idea of different ways we might build our price list, we have to actually put that sales system in action, and we're going to do that by shooting to sell. So shooting to sell, first of all, starts with a pre-session consultation. So this is before any time you shoot your client, whether it's for an engagement session, the wedding itself, a bridal portrait session, or a day after session. You always want to meet with your clients ahead of time and help plan out the shoot. There are 3 main things that we talk about during a pre-session consultation. The first thing we talk about is product. Oftentimes you'll meet with a client and you'll ask them what they're planning on doing with the images, and either they haven't really thought about it or they just assume that digital files were the norm. So this is your chance to plant the seed with your client that you offer things besides digital files. So talk to them about portrait albums, about guest signature books, about wall portraits, really anything that you can to help your clients enjoy their images more fully. But start that process now instead of waiting until after the shoot and then blindsiding them with that product.
Also, this gives you a great chance to introduce your pricing to your clients. So for Lori and I, once a client calls, we tell them our starting price and an average price that most clients spend with us. And we ask them, does this sound like it's within your budget? And if they say yes, then we say, great, why don't you come into the studio? We'll talk with you more about your session. We'll go over all of our pricing. Now, when they're in the studio, we go over all of our pricing with them and we show them the different products. This gives them a chance to really understand all of our product offerings, because we may offer products that they've never even thought that they wanted. They may come in also and see that, okay, you know what, I can buy more than what I thought. So once you go over your pricing with them, they kind of have an understanding of the different products they want, and that kind of helps you on the back end during the sales presentation, because now you're not blindsiding them with the prices, just like you never blindsided them with the product offerings.
Now, the third thing that we talk about is something that the client tends to get a little bit more excited about, is the location and wardrobe styling of the shoot. So we also tell our clients that this is an important thing that we want to plan out with them, so that they don't think the entire purpose of the consultation is just about selling to them. So we do go over where they want to shoot. We come up with ideas of locations that are meaningful to them, perhaps where he proposed, where they went on their first date, etc. We also give them expectations for wardrobe. So we've all had clients that wore completely the wrong thing to their shoot. We help them out with that ahead of time so that their images come out better. But case in point, when we wrap this all up, putting a couple of these ideas together, Jeff mentioned earlier that we have a $200 engagement session credit. Well, that only covers our very smallest engagement session package. And most of our clients, once they come in for the pre-session consultation and they actually see our products, then they start realizing that that they actually want wall portraits and they want a guest signature book. So many of our clients who have never even seen a guest signature book before with images in it decide after that consultation that that's what they want. So we are, again, exposing them to product, we're exposing them to our pricing so there's no surprises, and we're getting them excited about their shoot. And now they've gone from that basic engagement session all the way up to one of our top packages just in that consultation.
Yep. And even if they had thought about a guest book, chances are they haven't seen a guest book like what we're offering. They picture the white leather guest book with name for a line for a name and a date, and those are kind of boring.
An image guest book.
The image guest book. But they've never seen the quality of the books that we're offering. Now, notice also the order in what we have these in: product, pricing, and location. You know, we start off our pre-session consultation by talking about something fun. We talk about all the products. We show them all the products. And then we talk about all the pricing, which is kind of boring and kind of scary to some people. And then we end it again on something fun, which is the location. And we get them excited about the location. So we're not just talking pricing the entire time they're there. So there's definitely a format for how we're able to meet with our clients during that consultation and kind of manipulate that sale as we go. Okay?
All right, so now during the shoot, this is an additional time that we are meeting with our clients. This gives us a chance to actually keep that sales process going. So during the shoot, when we take an image, we can say things like, oh my gosh, this would look so good over your mantle, or this image would be amazing on metal, or imagine these images together on a spread in a portrait book. So you can do things like that. As you're taking these images, you can constantly remind them about the goal of this portrait session, which is to have products that they're going to enjoy.
Okay. And here's the biggest thing. If you're not doing in-person sales, you should be. Because if you're placing your images online and just hoping for the best, you're really never going to maximize the sales that you can get from that session or wedding. Okay. I know putting them online is easy, but it's not going to help you make money. Bring the client in and work with them and help them figure out what they need and what they want. Because sometimes a client may want something over their mantle, but they don't really know what size to order for over their mantle. So they end up ordering something way too small, and then they're unhappy with that purchase. Use software like Fundy Designer to be able to show your clients exactly what you want to sell. Okay. And what Lori and I do in our studio, we do what we call immersive sales. So everything is about creating a luxury environment and experience for that client. So everything from what they see when they walk in the door is chandeliers and large wall portraits and lavish furniture in our lobby. Everything they touch, all the furniture are like a suede or a microfiber feel. And so they're very soft to touch. So we want them to be able to touch things. Even things like albums. We put albums in their hands so they can feel the quality of the leathers and the fabrics. So by touching all these senses, we're able to help them want those products even more.
We also offer them something a little tasty. I think refreshments always make any meeting go better, but we offer wine, we offer coffee, cheese and crackers, something just to kind of help keep them satisfied so they don't get hangry. But also it is just one more way of touching their different senses.
We also have soft music playing in the background. We have a slideshow of images going that refers back to that site part. We have a slideshow of images going in our sales room, and we have soft music playing, and we just invite them into just gentle conversation to start with. We don't jump right into the sales point because we just want to start talking with them and learn more about their needs and their wants.
In addition to that, we use scent warmers to make the studio smell good, so you definitely don't want it to smell like your Chinese leftovers from lunch, right? So we use a scent warmer. I know some people do candles. I even know some photographers that will actually bake cookies in their home-based studio before their clients come in, so that they have, again, something to taste, but also something that smells good. So think of something that's just warm and comforting and helps your clients relax and sets them at ease.
Okay, so what are some of the tools that we use for when we are actually meeting with clients and working our way through this? All of our slideshows in studio are ran from Lightroom. So we use a slideshow module that we can run right out of Lightroom, and we use the power of keywords to be able to run slideshows that are specific on what the client's asking. So if they're asking if we've ever photographed a wedding in a certain location, then we can show them that wedding in that certain location with the click of a button.
The idea, though, is this is the sales presentation.
Mm-hmm.
So during the sales presentation, we actually use Lightroom to help them choose their images. So we make use of the pick flags and reject flags to help them pick through. And then I actually color code some of their product choices. So if they choose something for an album, it gets turned blue. If they choose it for a wall portrait, it gets turned green. So it helps the client follow along on the sales process and helps them really understand what it is they're doing. Now, once they've actually chosen their images, then we port the images over to Fundy Gallery Designer and help them pick out their wall portraits. We always ask our clients to send us some pictures of their walls ahead of time. And once we can show these images hanging on their walls to scale over their own furniture, it becomes really irresistible for them to purchase these images. So we kind of joke that it's like printing money. And that's because a lot of times people's objections to purchasing a wall portrait is that they're not sure about the size, they're not sure that it'll go, they think it's too big or too small. They say they don't have walls in their home, so like their ceiling's magically floating without walls. That's my favorite. But once we can show them in Gallery Designer, we can show them how beautiful these images will look, their pictures on their walls over their furniture, and it becomes so hard to say no. Not only that, it's not just about them not being able to say no, but once we've chosen the right size for their home, they're so happy to see them there every day.
Okay.
Go back.
Oh, sorry.
Jumping ahead. Okay, the last tool that we use is Fundy Album Designer, and Jeff has hinted at this a little bit, but also built into Fundy is the ability to create albums. And before we had Fundy, it would take us an average of 8 hours to build a minimal wedding album because we were doing everything by hand. Now that we have Fundy, Jeff is able to design an 80 or 90 page album in under an hour. Not only that, but it makes making changes to the album so easy because we're not limited to templates. So we don't have to worry about putting a horizontal image in a vertical spot. Fundy Album Designer is so intelligent that it basically just redesigns the spread to make everything fit. So it's really one of those tools that we would not be able to survive without.
So let's talk about what are multiple touch points and why do we use them? Being a wedding photographer, we have the unique ability to be able to work with clients sometimes a year in advance. And that gives us the ability to be able to work a little bit at a time and offer them products a little bit at a time as we go through this entire relationship. And one key thing to remember is money spent is money forgotten. And what that means is when someone spends a little bit of money and then they keep adding to it and they keep adding to it, then they don't think about the total of what they've spent on wedding photography. And so it's the same thing as Bath and Body Works. You know, when you go in and you're buying those products, you don't think about how much you're spending. You think about how much you're saving along the way. So we create multiple touch points in our business to be able to help us do the same thing.
All right, so the first touch point that we have with our clients is, of course, the initial consultation. This is where we meet with the clients before they actually book us. So they get to know us, they get to know our prices, our policies, and that's where our relationship with our clients really begins. Now, at that initial consultation, one of our strategies is to basically have what we call a foot in the door price, where we have an entry-level price that is on par with what the market around us is offering. But as we show you over these additional touch points, we find ways to add in more purchases. Okay.
So touch points 2 through 4 are our engagement session. So when we book a wedding, again, we offer a $200 engagement session credit to our clients And that encourages them to come in and want to purchase an engagement session. Now, they can come in and get our mini session, which is very small. It ends up being a free session for them. But because it's such a small engagement session with very few digital files in there, I think there's like 2 digital files in there, and it's a 15-minute session. Most clients at that pre-session consultation decide that they want more. And now they'll use that $200 engagement session credit to purchase a larger session. It goes back to that gift card phenomenon of, if you have some money on a gift card and you go to that store, you're inevitably going to spend more than what that gift card is for. It's just the nature of having gift cards. So during that pre-session consultation, we'd speak with them about what they want out of their engagement session. How many images do they want? What kind of products do they want? Where do they want to have that session photographed? Okay, so that's touch point 2, is that pre-session consultation. Touch point 3 is the actual shoot itself. And again, the shoot provides a perfect place for you to kind of sell subtly, because you know if that client has mentioned they may want a guest book. Now, if you get an amazing image, you can show them the back of the camera and say, oh my God, wouldn't this look amazing as a 2-page pano in your book? And then touch point 4 is that sales session where they come back in and they choose those files. Okay, so 3 touch points right there just from an engagement session.
Now, one thing that we didn't show on this slide, because this seems to be more of a regional thing, but you could have 3 more touch points if your clients decided that they wanted to do a bridal session. So for those of you who aren't familiar, a bridal session is basically portraits of the bride taken shortly before the wedding day, in her full hair, makeup, gown, flowers, the whole thing. So that could allow you additional touch points where you're able to sell to your clients. Now, for those of you who don't do bridal sessions, then your next touch point would be at a timeline meeting. So we schedule our clients to come in 4 months prior to the wedding, where we meet and plan out their timeline. At this point, we help our clients basically understand that, for example, the cocktail hour is not enough time for them to get all of the 500 images that they have on their pin board, and that if they do want to have more photography than just the standard formal portraits, that they need to build in more time. So we work with them to craft a timeline that matches their goals for the wedding day. At this point, a majority of our clients will realize that they need more hours than the base package that they booked. And a lot of our clients will also decide on an additional photographer at that time. So that timeline meeting is really a way for us to educate our clients on what to expect when working with us and how to get the most out of their photography, and help them realize that sometimes minimal is not always better.
Touch point 6 is generally our final consultation. We do our final consultations 30 days prior to the wedding. And this allows us to take that final payment from our client well enough in advance that we know there are not going to be any issues with the check. But it also allows us to touch base with them on that timeline that we did 4 months prior. Because things can change a lot in 4 months. A lot of times we bring up things in that timeline meeting that they have to check with their planner, or they have to check with the caterer or the event space. So we want to touch base with them one last time prior to the wedding to make sure that all the dots are lining up and everything's perfect for their wedding day. Now, with all of these touch points along the way, let's say our client came in and they booked the base package and they decided not to add an album. Every time they're coming in, we have albums on the coffee table. We have new sample albums. We put them in their hands. We say, look at this album that just came in today. Look at how beautiful it is. Look at this leather. Look at this embossing. We never ask them, do you want to add an album? Do you want to add an album? Do you want to add an album? That's hard sales. But what we do is show them. And the more that they hold, the more that they touch them, the more that they smell the leather, the more that they feel the fabrics, the more they're going to want one of those albums. So these touch points are not just to take care of what we're doing at that touch point. It's to suggest things like wall portraits and wedding albums as we go, very subtly. Oh, sorry. Did you have something to say there? Sorry.
No, I can say it on the next slide.
Okay, there we go. Next slide.
All right. So your next touch point after the wedding will then be when the clients come in for their in-studio premiere. So those of you who are not familiar with this concept, it's basically 2 to 3 weeks after the wedding. Once we've gotten all of the images in, we host a private screening for our clients at the studio. And again, we offer them refreshments, we offer them snacks, we make it smell good, all those things that we touched about before. And that helps them set the mood for seeing their images for the first time. Then we start a slideshow on the TV, and we leave the room and allow our clients just to snuggle on the sofa and see all of their images for the first time. We set it to music, and it really helps create more of an emotional experience of seeing the images for the first time. Now contrast that to the typical hosting the images online. They're looking at them at work, they're looking at them at home, the dogs are barking, the phone's ringing. So we're helping create a more emotional time for them to see the images and really experience viewing those images for the first time. Now, not coincidentally, that $250 album credit that we've offered them expires at this time. So now it's shortly after the wedding, they're seeing all their images for the first time, they're in an emotional state, they're really fully appreciating the images, and we're reminding them that they have a credit that's going to expire. A good majority of our clients will decide at that time that they're willing to add on an album. But we didn't have to force them to add that on before the wedding, before they really fully got a chance to appreciate either the images or the value of an album.
Yeah. And you have to think too, before the wedding, your clients are thinking about all those payments that are coming due, all those final balances that are coming due to all of their vendors. But after the wedding, that's no longer on their mind. But what they do have are all those little white envelopes and checks that all their friends and family left them as wedding gifts. So harness that power of being able to say, you know what, this album credit expires on the day that you do your reveal and we deliver your digital files to you. Most of our clients are adding albums on at that point. So we do have a few other additional touch points when we start talking about albums, and we've got our entire album workflow that we're going to talk about in just a few minutes, so we'll bring that up. But we want to give you one other idea. These clients that are walking through your entire system like this, consider Portraits for Life. Lori and I offer Portraits for Life for all of our clients that book with either me or Lori, which we call our signature commission. We do have associate photographers, but if they book signature commission with me or Lori, we give them a free portrait session every year valued up to $200. But now they have to be able to purchase any prints, products, or digital files from that session. You've heard the old saying, it's harder to get a new client than to keep a current client. And that's kind of our mentality with why we're doing this Portraits for Life program. Now, again, we still do a pre-session consultation. We still shoot the session. We still sell it the exact same way. The only difference is every year they get that free session. And again, that's like a membership card that they have that they can keep in their wallet that makes it real money for them.
All right. So now at this point, we've talked about how we've encouraged our clients to actually purchase an album. So now we want to talk to you about how we actually design and sell our albums that is both really easy on our clients and also makes us a ton of additional profits in upsells.
Okay. So why do we even want to offer albums? We know a lot of photographers that just simply don't want to offer albums because they say it's too much work. But I feel like they're missing the boat on a bigger picture. The number one reason that we offer albums is that's their family's first heirloom. A lot of people in our generation aren't getting albums and they're not going to have that family heirloom. So let's start thinking about creating something that family is going to have forever and in a printed way, because we all know that hard drives fail. So let's talk about putting printed items in our clients' hands. Okay. The second reason is you as an artist need to complete your vision. We can go and photograph the most amazing wedding and the most amazing storyline and everything be absolutely beautiful. But if your clients order a Shutterfly book that they've designed, it kills the vision that you've created on that day. So complete your vision as an artist and create a book for your clients.
Albums are also actually a source of increased referrals, because once your clients have something tangible that they can show to people, they're going to show it. Whereas if you just give them a disc or a thumb drive with 800 to 1,000 images on it, odds are they're not going to bust that thing out and show it to every friend that they see. But you give them a beautiful handcrafted leather cover album, and I guarantee you they're going to show it to everyone that comes to their house. So this is a good way to get your clients talking about your services and help basically become a marketing tool for you.
And it's also a fantastic way to increase your revenue at the end of the year. What if we told you that you could increase your yearly revenue by $40 or maybe even $50,000 just by selling albums to your clients? That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? So we're going to show you different ways that we can go through this album design process and be able to sell clients albums that bring in a ton of revenue for you.
As Jeff mentioned, go back one more. As Jeff mentioned, we're one of the few vendors that actually has the ability to continue to sell to our clients once the wedding's over. The majority of the vendors that they've worked with have collected their money, their services are done, and that's the end of it. So this is an opportunity to sell to your client when they're no longer having to pay out to those vendors, and they do have a little bit more flexibility to be able to buy from you at this time.
Okay, so what are some common album sales strategies that we see? And there's a lot of different ways. You just have to find a way that works for you. So if you're a package-based studio, you can put those albums in your packages, or you can choose to sell them a la carte. So, Lori and I, because we're not package-based, we actually sell our albums a la carte. But if you are package-based, you can actually include them in some of your larger packages.
The other thing that you can consider is whether or not you want to have a base price for a starting album and then allow your clients to upgrade from there, or whether you want to set a higher price that includes any upgrades your client may wish to choose.
You can also look at tiered album options, meaning the small, medium, large, or maybe you have a basic book and then a couture line that has more cover upgrades and more cover options.
Okay, and we've already talked to you quite a bit about album credits, but those are things that you can, again, include in your packages, include with certain types of coverage. But basically, think of ways that you can give your clients credits that are going to encourage them to make that purchase.
And then payment plans. Payment plans have been really successful for Lori and I because we allow our clients to come in and design the album of their dreams, but maybe they don't have the money to write a check or put that all on a card right away. So we work it out to where they can set payment plans in either 3, 6, or 9 months down the road, and we choose an amount that fits their monthly budget and allow them to pay it off over time. Now, we don't deliver that album right away. We wait until that album is paid off before we design and order it, but it allows the client to be able to purchase something that they may not otherwise have a chance to purchase.
Almost without exception, our clients are not paying for their wedding in one fell swoop. So why would we expect them to be able to pay for their album that way? So if you're not offering payment plans, consider the idea that this is a great way to sell something to your clients that is a little bit more of an investment and allow it to be attainable for them.
And we always talk about how much of an investment the album is, and we help them see that, they've lost images online. They've had hard drives fail. And we always say, if your house was burning, would you run in and pick up this flash drive? And I hold up a flash drive. Or would you run in and grab this wedding album? And I hold up one of our wedding albums. So you have to make your clients understand the value of an album as well.
All right, so now when you are trying to think of ways that you can upsell your album, Jeff and I use the base album plus model. So we start our album at a base number of pages with only the cover options and the basic paper that's included with the album. And then we walk our clients through a sales system that allows them to choose different types of upgrades. So some of the upgrades that they can choose from are paper type, so that they can do a standard versus a fine art paper. They can do thick or thin pages. They also can choose the type and size of album. So as Jeff has mentioned a couple of times, we have a small, medium, and large, but we also have a basic album line and a couture album line that has more options. We also have a complete sales system on encouraging our clients to add more pages, and we're going to go through that in a little bit. But basically, the more that we can add to the story, the bigger the album tends to be, and we help our clients understand that as well. And then finally, our clients also have the option to upgrade their cover. So they can add an image to it, they can change the fabric, they can upgrade to leather, they can do an embossing. There's lots of different ways that they can upgrade that cover beyond the basic version that's included with the album.
So how are we designing albums now? As photographers, typically there are 2 ways that you're designing albums. One is called the image dump. And this is the way Lori and I used to do it years and years ago. And the image dump is when you photograph a wedding and you have 700 or 800 images that you just dump on your client in a USB drive or an online gallery, and you say, great, I'm glad you got an album. Give me your favorite files for me to be able to design your album. Well, that's great because it takes the work off of you, and you allow your client to have their hand in that design process. But the problem is, after the wedding, your clients are having babies, they're building houses, they're moving in together, they're getting promotions at work. I mean, there's life happens after the wedding, and they don't have time to go through and sift through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of images to pick their favorites. And if they do, chances are those favorites, they don't really go together to tell a story. So it makes your design process a lot harder.
Consider the idea that your clients hired you because you're the professional. So why are you making your clients do part of the job of putting it all together? This is something that really should be your job, and if you can help your clients through that process, it'll pay dividends in terms of your album profits.
The next way we do it is called pre-design. So that is when we tell our clients, you know what, I'm going to design your album. Even though you purchased a 30-page album, I'm going to design your album the way I saw your day. And then if you don't like that design, you can remove pages from there. That works great in theory, but what Lori and I have found is that once your client sees a beautiful 80 or 90-page album and they fall in love with it, they're now emotionally connected to that album, and to tell them that they have to buy those extra pages or they get deleted can really upset your client. And so it's hard to really make this work without upsetting your client.
In theory, that's the whole point of pre-design, right? Is to get them to understand how much more beautiful and how more fully you can tell a story with a larger album. However, it also depends on who your client is. If your client is the type that money's not really an issue, then they generally don't have a problem understanding that they're going to pay more for a larger album. However, for my and Jeff's clients, a lot of them do stretch their budget a little bit to be able to afford us. So were we to do something like this where we completely switch around what they thought they were getting, it does tend to upset our clients a little bit because they feel like we've tricked them into getting a larger album. When they originally purchased a 30-page album, they wonder why we didn't just design a 30-page album instead of offering them this thing that they can't actually have.
They feel like they got the bait and switch. So really, and we did that a time or two. We tried the pre-design way and it just did not work. Clients felt really like they got the bait and switch. So why are we making this so difficult? Why do we have to make the design process difficult? The solution to those common design problems is you must figure out a way to make the client understand what you already know about album design. We as artists know that you cannot tell the entire story of an 8 or 10 hour wedding day in 30 or 20 pages. But how do we communicate that to the client? How do we make them understand that they need more without pre-designing and upsetting them?
So Jeff and I have started doing album design consultations. And the first thing, of course, is that we show what we want to sell. So we have all of our albums sitting out, and the albums that we have on our coffee table range between 70 to 90 pages. And these are albums that show every event throughout the day, from the bride's details to the bride getting ready to everything all the way up through the end of the day. So we show our particular design style that is more storytelling. The idea, of course, is that we do want to meet in person so that they can see, touch, feel, all of those things. But for those clients who can't meet with us, we at least do a virtual meeting. And we use a website called screenleap.com that allows our clients to see our screen so that we can share images with them and really discuss the design of the album. Now, throughout this meeting, we are helping the clients make decisions as far as what kind of spreads they want to include in the album.
Okay. Now, another thing on that show what you want to sell, in our studio, we have always new albums on that coffee table because we have these multiple touch points. So every time a client comes in, we have new albums. But album samples can get expensive. So we tell our clients that an album turnaround time is about 7 weeks. we know that we can get one back in about 2 to 3 weeks. So for that remaining 3 to 4 weeks, that album is actually used as a studio sample so that every time our clients are coming in, we have new samples. So show what you want to sell and create these albums that allow you to show your work to your clients in a completed vision. So how are we selling bigger albums? We actually have to think in stories. Think and sell in stories. So if we think of a wedding day, every part of a wedding day is a sub-story of that bigger picture, okay? So think about it like a book. We have an opening spread with a title page. We have bride's details. We had bride preparation. We have things like the first look. We have things like the gift exchange. Now notice in here, we're not mixing stories on spreads. So we don't have the groom opening his gift on this spread. This is just the bride opening her gifts, right? The groom opening his gifts is an entire another spread. We have creatives. We have detail spreads that now set the scene for our reception, right? And if you can think about this whole process, we've created a worksheet, or I should say Lori created a worksheet. And that worksheet follows a chronological format throughout the entire day, whereas spreads are stories from the day. Things like detail spreads become transition spreads that transition you from one location or one part of the day to the next. Now, this design worksheet has to be very easy to understand, and it has to have a financial section that we'll talk about in a moment.
So the importance of this design worksheet really can't be understated. The worksheet really guides the entire sales process, so it functions as a visual reminder of what our sales system is. Essentially, my goal in creating this worksheet was again to help the client understand what Jeff and I already knew about album design. We knew that we think in terms of stories. We knew that we don't combine stories. We knew that the album has to be visually cohesive. So as I walk the client through this worksheet, I might ask them, for example, let me go back to, okay, so this spread here. This spread here is the reception details. So I would ask the client, do you want a spread that includes reception details? Well, not very many clients are going to say no to that, so they say yes, and I check mark the little box that says reception details. At that point, I will have all of their images pulled up in Lightroom, and we talk about how many images they have and whether that would be best served by a single spread or maybe more. So some clients, if they have a really elaborate wedding, they might spend 4 or 5 spreads just on the reception details. And that is how we help the client to understand how many pages they need and what's needed in order to tell the story. When we walk through it in that format, we're able to get them to basically mentally commit to these different spreads, but without having to actually do the pre-design. At the end of the session, we tally it all up and we say, okay, based on this album that we've now kind of outlined and designed in our heads, you two are at an album with, let's say, 76 pages, and the cost for these extra pages is X number of dollars. As a side note, going back to that sales system, we also, for every 5 spreads that the client adds to their album, they earn a gift with purchase of $100 towards a cover upgrade. So I will outline the cost for the additional spreads, as well as let them know how much money towards cover upgrades that they've earned. So at this point now, I can ask them, does this sound feasible to you? Is this about what you were thinking as far as your album, or do we need to go back and trim a little bit more? Now, every so often we'll have a client say, well, let's add a few more spreads and get even more credits. But most of the time they're either going to commit to the album as we've outlined it, or they're going to realize that they've overshot their budget a little bit and they're going to scale back. The important thing to realize, though, is that all along throughout this process, the client themselves has been choosing which spreads to include and which to take out. So because they were making the decision rather than me forcing it on them in a pre-design, they have a much harder time deciding that they no longer want something that they already decided they wanted. So hopefully that makes sense. But when they said that they want it, it's harder to say no to. So we do have clients that go through and pull a few spreads out, but ultimately they take maybe a maximum of 4 to 5 spreads out. And then at that point, they say, well, in order to get the album that we want, to design it how we want, we can't take out any more spreads. This is where we need to be. And that is the whole goal, is that they've gone through that entire process themselves. And again, they are the ones upselling themselves, just like Jeff's example of Bath & Body Works. Did I say it right this time? I did.
Yeah.
I always say Bed Bath & Beyond. Just like Jeff's example of Bath & Body Works, where you're choosing to upsell yourself, now the person selling to you is no longer the enemy. So they're happy about the album that they designed, and they're fully informed on how they've designed that album.
And they also realize that maybe they need to go on a payment plan, because oftentimes when we go through this worksheet with our clients, and let's say they come up to $1,000 or $1,500 in upgrades, in additional pages and cover options and, anything that you can think of for their album, maybe they can't find a way to remove those things that they want, but they still know they want them. At that point, we can say, you know what? We can put you on a payment plan for this additional money. And they love it, because now they can pay $100 or so a month, and they know they're committed to their album, and we can then move forward with the design process. Okay? So, a little bit more about the design worksheet. Again, the client makes informed decisions about the scope of the album design. Rule number 1 with this: when you're selling albums, have an album contract or an addendum to your wedding contract, because that's going to make your client make those informed decisions. It's going to let them commit financially. The contract is going to outline all the expectations for deadlines and turnaround times, any payments. It's also going to have clauses in there for your revision policy or your changes, and deadlines. Deadlines, because our goal is to get our clients' albums in their hands as soon as possible. But every now and then you're going to have those clients that just kind of, once they leave, they drop the ball. So we need to make sure we have deadlines for them. Best practices for revisions. And we're going to come back to this deadlines in a minute, but I want to go over some of these best practices for revisions first.
Okay, so just like with all of our sales tactics we've talked about so far, there's several different strategies that you can employ when it comes to revisions. One idea is that you can charge your client for every image that they change within the album. The pros of this is that you do have those clients who they want to make 1 million changes, and you are basically getting them to cover your time when you're making all of those changes. However, sometimes it can feel a little bit like nickeling and diming your client, so you want to be careful that you're not overcharging them or really changing for every little thing. The next strategy is that you might want to charge per spread. So as Jeff and I mentioned, we use Fundy Album Designer, and the changes within Album Designer are really so simple that to change one image on a spread really isn't any less difficult than changing several images on a spread. So it'd be a lot easier for us to charge per spread rather than per image. And it feels a little less like nickel and diming to your client. However, with Fundy getting easier and easier for us to use, we've actually gone to a total album revision. Because the changes are so easy and such a fast turnaround for us, we basically tell our clients that once we design the album, they can make as many changes as they want in the first round. Because we understand that, when we're helping choose the images, we may not pick every image that they love. However, once they go through and make that first round of changes, then any additional changes they make after that, we do begin to charge them for. So that's a strategy that we've found really seems to dovetail best with how we design the albums, and also feels the least like nickel and diming to our clients. But we wouldn't be able to do that without an album design software that was so easy to use.
And let me backtrack just a bit and talk about when we have this album worksheet that have all of these different spreads on there. And so we talk about a spread of bride's details or a spread of bride prep. We're only having the client to tell us that he or she wants a spread of that particular thing. We're not picking out individual images. That's our job as an artist, to pick out which images best tell the story of bride's details and best tell the story of bride getting ready. And it's at the revision meeting where they are able to make changes of, I don't like this image, can we switch it with another image? So I just wanted to make that clear as well. Okay, so back to revision deadlines, and I'm sorry about that little mix-up. I think this slide was supposed to be right before the previous one. But revision deadlines, once we have given our client the album, and I apologize if you guys can hear this plane going over, but it's about to take the roof off the house. So our revision deadlines, once we design the album, we give them 30 days to approve or submit any additional changes to that album. Then from there, if a few days before that 30 days comes up, they haven't reached or submitted their revisions, then we will give them a 15-day extension.
So believe it or not, the majority of our clients have all of their album revisions done and their album design approved in less than a month and a half after we show them the initial design.
Okay. So once we give them that one 15-day extension, after that, they receive another email that says if they don't get their album done, then we're going to archive it. Because if we photograph a wedding in December, we need to be finished with that wedding in a reasonable amount of time, because it's not fair to our clients in the following June to be working on a December wedding when we should be working on their wedding. So we tell our clients, if you can't get it done within this time, we're going to archive it and we're going to work on it at the end of the following year. And it's going to be at the end of the following season. And it's going to be a $250 archive fee. And the reason there's a $250 archive fee, because for us, at the end of that season is when we need to be analyzing our books and planning for the following year. I don't want to be working on a wedding album because someone couldn't get their job done and get their approvals or their changes in. So we charge a $250 archive fee. That album is then moved to the back of the line and it's not worked on again until the end of the season. Okay?
So really that fee and that archival is just an incentive for your client to get their revisions done on time instead of dragging it out.
Okay? We've had one client in the past 5 years that has actually reached that point, that we've actually had to archive their album and charge them a $250 fee. So people will not want to pay that, and they'll get their job done and get their revisions and their changes into you.
All right, so let's kind of review everything that we've talked about and put it all together and show you how we sell $6,000 weddings in a $2,000 market. So remember, your first step is to set an attractive starting rate to get your clients in the door. That's that foot in the door policy that we talked about. So Jeff and I actually charge $2,900 for 6 hours of coverage with one photographer, and that includes files printable up to 8 by 10. That's our starting rate. And that's enough. Apparently, the magic number in our area is 3,000 or less. That's our market to get clients in the door. From there, we've built a solid sales system that encourages our upsells without hard selling. So one of the things that we employ is the use of that $200 engagement session credit. However, at those touch points, when we meet with a client before the engagement session, they ultimately decide that our $900 engagement package is the most popular one. They apply their $200 credit, and now we've just made a $700 add-on sale for engagement portraits. From there, we continue to have those touch points before the wedding to help educate our clients on the value of what we do. So we do that timeline meeting and we do that final consultation where we review the importance of having enough time for their photographer. The majority of our clients at that time will upgrade to at least 8 hours of coverage, which is a $300 upgrade. And a lot of our clients will also add on a second photographer because we talk about the benefits of having a second photographer as far as getting the photography they want. So at that point, that's basically another $800 in add-on sales. Then finally, Jeff and I sell high-quality albums that serve as both a marketing tool and a profitable product option. So as we mentioned, we have that $250 album credit. Our base album is $1,500, so they apply their credit towards it. That's $1,250. The average client will then make an additional $1,000 to $1,500 in upgrades as far as additional pages and cover upgrades. So on average, about another $1,250 in sales on top of that. So if you add those things together, our average client is spending roughly $6,900 in a market where clients will not call you if your starting price is more than $3,000.
Okay. So, I know that this seems like a lot of information, but we actually offer our complete wedding workflow system available for you to purchase and download on our website. It's titled the Complete Wedding Workflow System, $6,000 weddings in a $2,000 market. The normal retail value for this is $475. You can for $595. It's on sale for $475. You can get it at theshootspace.com. It includes all the contracts, workflow documents, price list templates, album design worksheets, email templates, video tutorials, and more on there. And so let me show you where to go to purchase this. All right. So this is our website here. So if you come over to the store, first of all, if you're at our website, come down here and, join our mailing list and stay in the conversation with us. We'll email you information about workshops that we're doing, places we're going to be speaking, and things like that. But if you click on Shop Our Online Store here, it takes a second for it to load because we're on Wi-Fi, and you scroll down to Bundles, and you can see we offer lots of different products here. If you scroll over to Bundles, then you can scroll down to the Complete Wedding Workflow System Bundle here. This is what it has in it. It has our wedding lead form so that when a client calls you, you're asking the same questions and you're getting the same information from every client that calls to keep you very organized. It has our wedding investment guide. It has a wedding investment guide video that talks about how we walk through our investment guide and sell the different options that we have. It has an attorney written contract, a wedding timeline worksheet, the album design worksheet that we talked about, the album worksheet video where we walk you step by step through how to walk your client through that worksheet, an album contract addendum, again attorney written, an album payment plan agreement, the portrait lead form, portrait contract, independent contractor agreement, and the complete email bundle. So all the emails we use to keep our clients on track for making their payments on time and getting the revisions done online. So definitely check this out if it's something that you're interested in. We can answer any questions you've got if you just want to email us over. But I think that is about going to wrap it up. Give me 1 second to get back over here. And then, all right. Again, special thanks to our sponsors, Miller's, Fundy Designer, Sweetlight, CloudSpot, Evolve, and Sticky Folios. Definitely check those guys out. Here's more information about how you can find Lori and myself. And, let me go back over here. Let me get our camera. Hang on, camera only. There we are. All right. So, thank you guys for joining us today. And I hope that we were able to give you a little bit of nuggets of information that you can take back to your studio and implement to be able to reach higher sales averages for your weddings.
Which take was that?
That was, I think we made it. I think that was take like 20, guys, or 21. No, it wasn't 18. It was 20 or 21. Yeah. Lori's mom's over there going 18. No, it wasn't 18. It was 20 or 21. It was up there.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We've really appreciated having the chance to share some of these goodies with you.
All right. Take care, guys.